If your ambition feels like anxiety, it's not ambition, it's a threat response. And your body has been trying to tell you this for a long time. But here's what your body doesn't know: leadership culture depends on you not figuring this out. Hi, welcome back to this channel. I am Vibhuti, your performance and authority coach. I believe that authority is not personality, it's a neuroscience training to build capacity. And that's what we do together in this channel. If you've been exhausted for months and you call it work ethic, you're not ambitious. You're threat activated. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why your nervous system cannot tell the difference between whether it is building something or running away from something. Here's a fast test. When was the last time you actually rested without guilt? If the answer is I can't remember, you're not operating from ambition. You're operating from survival mode. And this is what exactly happened to me, and I will explain in a few minutes. Let me first show you what's actually happening. Most people think ambition is just drive, but there are actually two kinds of drives, and only one of them builds capacity. Now, let me walk you through both. Towards state is ambition. This is when you are moving towards something that you want to build. It feels like excitement, not anxiety. It feels like expansion, not contraction. It feels like direction and not escape. The away from state, on the other hand, is threat activated. This is when you're moving away from something that you're terrified will happen. It feels like just the opposite of the towards state, like anxiety, contraction. You're not chasing a vision. You're running away from collapse. Let's understand what's happening in your brain. Your brain has two systems for goal pursuit, and most high performers are stuck in the wrong one. System 1 is your goal pursuit system. It lives in your ventral striatum, the reward prediction system, and the prefrontal cortex, which is your home for planning and strategy. This system runs on dopamine. When this system is active, you feel energized. You're building towards something. This is an anabolic state. You're creating capacity. System 2 is your threat avoidance system. This lives in your amygdala, the threat detection system, and your sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight reaction. This system runs on cortisol and adrenaline. When this system is active, you feel anxious. You are running away from collapse. This is a catabolic state. You're burning capacity. So pause for a second. Think about the last time you felt driven. Were you excited about what you were building, or were you terrified of what would happen if you stopped? I hope now you know that if it was the second one, you were not ambitious. You were threat activated. Now here's the dangerous part. Leadership culture cannot tell the difference. All leadership culture sees is the output. It sees the long hours, the fast response, no complaints, urgency. It does not see what system is driving you. And that is the exploit. Let me show you what this looks like as a system. The top zone is the threat zone, and the bottom zone is the safety zone. The threat zone is where most high performers live. In the threat zone, your baseline is cortisol and adrenaline. Exhaustion feels like credibility, and stopping feels like death. You can't rest unless you collapse first. Safety zone is where real ambition lives. In the safety zone, your baseline is regulated. You have the capacity and you can choose when to engage. This is where you build towards something, not run away from collapse. And here's what nobody tells you. Real ambition only operates through the safety zone. If you are in the threat zone, you're not ambitious. You're just compliant. So why does leadership culture prefer threat activation? Because threat activated participants are predictable. Fear is a control mechanism. If you're afraid of being seen as lazy, if you're afraid of losing your position, if you're afraid of collapse, you will never stop moving. And in this way, leadership culture does not have to motivate you because you always have that negative motivation, the away from motivation. It just has to not interrupt your fear. Let it go on perpetually. Exhausted performers do not ask for more. They just keep performing. And without you even realizing, you lose control of your future. You're just like a pawn in the chess game. So leadership culture depends on this. It depends on you not knowing the difference between towards and away from motivation, between ambition and threat activation. Because the moment you figure it out, you've already taken the first step to embody your own authority. Real quick, drop a comment and tell me, have you been operating from ambition or from threat activation? I try to read all comments. Now here's where it gets psychological. Once you have been threat activated long enough, your identity locks in. You start to believe, I am someone who works hard. I am someone who does not quit. Rest is for the weak people. But what you're actually saying is, I am someone who can't stop because stopping feels like death. This is an identity lock-in. And this was my identity lock-in too. Once your identity is built on threat activation, rest feels like identity collapse. You can't access the goal pursuit system anymore because your identity depends on you staying activated. And this in the long term affects real growth, not just for you as a person, as a leader, but also the leadership culture itself. This is why burnout happens. Burnout is not because you're working harder. Burnout is because you've been running the threat avoidance circuit for so long that your nervous system has locked onto it. And now you can't get out. You don't know how to. Let me tell you the story from my life. I was progressing a lot in my work, getting promotion, visibility, increments every year. I was regarded as a high performer. I regarded myself as a high performer. I was respected. I was visible. But I couldn't sleep without checking my mails or my messages first. I couldn't take a weekend off without feeling guilty. I would be constantly working on so-called holidays, and I would justify it to my family members who would point it out to me. One day, when they got fed up of me, and I got fed up of myself too, I sat down and asked myself, what was I building towards? I couldn't get a clear answer. That was my first alarm bell. So I tried a different question. What was I scared of happening if I stopped? And that gave me clarity. I came up with 10 answers, but all of them were fears. There was zero vision, zero clarity. That's when I realized for the first time that I wasn't being ambitious. I was running on threat activation, and the leadership culture had been rewarding it for several years. So what does ambition really look like then? Real ambition feels like direction, expansion, excitement. You can rest without feeling guilty or scared that the whole system will collapse. If rest is still feeling like a risk to you, you are not ambitious. You are just afraid to stop moving. I teach what I learned about this to leaders who really want to invest in their true growth. If you're interested, the waitlist link is in the description. So here's what I want you to understand. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are definitely not broken. You've just started recalibrating. And recalibration means learning the difference between creating something and running away from something. Real ambition does not require exhaustion. And the moment you stop performing depletion-based work, you start building capacity-based authority. If you want to learn the next step to build that authority, the next video is the baseline authority model. It's the exact system for moving from threat activation to regulated performance. Drop a comment. Tell me where you found yourself in this realization. I'll see you in the next one.